I look at the deal as if I was flipping it myself.
Yeah.
I want all of my borrowers to make money on the deal, because when they do, I get repeat business and I get referrals, and that's my lifeblood.
You're listening to the AZREIA Show. If you're looking for quality real estate investing information that you can trust, you've found it. Stay tuned and join the tens of thousands of members that have already benefited from AZREIA, your home for education, market information, support, and networking opportunities that will advance your real estate investing career.
Welcome to another episode of the AZREIA Show. We are completely over thrilled with our guest on today. And before we get to our guest, we have our lovely,
that one before.
immaculate executive director, Mike Delpreet, here with us. How you doing, Mike?
Great, man. Glad to be here.
Hey, man, just kind of recapping, this past week we had Andrew Smoot and we talked about mobile home investing. So if you guys missed anything from last week, make sure you go to azria.org. Can you still get the
Friday at 12 it ends. So just head to our website, call the office. If you want any information on investing in mobile homes, we'll hook you up.
Okay, so make sure you get in there. If you're interested in mobile homes, do that. But before we transition, we want to welcome you to the show. Andrew Bang, how are you, Andrew?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here, talk a little bit about hard money and flipping homes and really what's going on with the market right now.
Let's do it.
Excellent. And that's kind of where our show is going on today, is talking about hard money and flipping and the state of money in the economy right now. So we wanted to bring in a professional to talk to the members and the guests about that. So strap on your seatbelts, guys. Let's get ready to go, because Andrew has a lot he's going to share with us. So, Mike, I'm going to pass it over to you. First question you want to ask Andrew.
Tell us about yourself.
Yeah. So keep
it simple, huh?
Arizona native. I mean, how far back are we going to go? Born and raised right here in Tempe. I went to Arizona State University for accounting. I was an accountant for about 6 years, and then that brought me to 2008. So 2008, I'm hating my job, doing accounting for a construction company, and I hear about these short sales and foreclosures that are kind of starting. Markets turn, it's going downhill. A friend of mine puts in an offer on a property in Levine, short sale. She offers $294, and she's going to buy it as a rental. The bank says no, and then she happened to have a real estate agent that was savvy about the trustee auctions, and this home was going to trustee auction that next week. She goes to the auction, she buys it at auction for $270,000. And I hear the story, I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would the bank say no to $294 one week, and the next week they're accepting $270? Not only that, there's multiple offers on the property, so there's more than one person that wanted this property at a higher price. I look into the auctions. I'm like, well, there's an opportunity here. I go to my boss. I was working for a construction company. They had done really well during the boom because they were doing a lot of new builds. Right. They had no business now because there's no new builds being built in 2008 with the market crashing. Right. And I say, hey, let's diversify a little bit, take some of this money, go buy a few of these distressed properties and keep them as rentals. That was my initial pitch.
Okay.
So March 2008, I buy my first home at the trustee auction. Has a great margin. I go to him, I say, hey, let's not keep it as a rental. Let's flip it. He said, fine, just run with it. Do whatever you want to do, whatever you feel comfortable. He trusted me. And then I flipped 5 homes in 3 months.
Nice. Okay.
I stopped being an accountant. I jumped full-time into flipping homes.
Got it.
I flipped homes for this construction company for about a year. And then after that, I started up my own company where I was doing a bid service at the trustee auctions.
Oh, okay.
Then flipping for myself. I kept them as my client. And then I was able to bring other people on board.
Let's give some people that weren't around in the business, or remind some of those that were in the business at that time, the bidding service. It was crazy down there, right? Like
just
you had a
madhouse. Yeah.
It was a madhouse one.
Yeah.
I was never in that world, but I just knew a lot of the bidders providing, like, how'd that game work? Just like how you got paid and what you did as a service provider.
Yeah, it's a whole process of itself. When someone comes to me and say, hey, I want to flip homes and I'm going to buy my homes through the trustee auction, I'm like, well, let's pump the brakes here for a second. Because they're two separate. Buying a property at the trustee auction is a whole process in itself. Flipping a home is a whole process in itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's not try to combine those for our first ones, because that's a lot to learn. Buying a property at the trustee auction, these banks, they put their opening bid on a property that they're about to foreclose on. They just own the note at this point. Yep. The trustee auction is where the note becomes the property. It's that transition. The bank puts one price on that note. whether it's their full amount or maybe they're okay taking a little bit of loss, whatever they come up with that number, that's the opening bid.
And it's never more. They can't take more. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. They have to, there's regulations and stuff of how much they can put as their opening bid,
Okay.
but they can put all their late fees in there and,
Yeah.
and it's all up. Sure. But most of the time, so there's an opening bid on the property. If anybody bids $1 more, then they are taking over that property.
Okay.
Yep. And so everyone has the same list. It's all public information. Everyone down there's bidding on the same properties. Probably 80% of them, the price is too high, and they just let those revert back to the bank, and then the bank gets that as a REO, bank-owned property.
Okay.
But say that 20% or so, those are the ones that are way undervalued, and those are the ones that we all bid on.
It's funny because when I first moved here to Arizona, it was 2010. So the auction steps were still thriving and still going, right? And I was just getting started in real estate. And everybody said, well, you need to go where the action was. And I went straight to the auction house, and it was crazy. And I think that's where I saw you at. Because when you walked in, I was like, he looks familiar. So, but that's how I built up my business getting started, was just going down there and networking with the people that were down there. So, man, that's a great start.
So you didn't make it to the property wars? You didn't get
No,
selected, man?
no, they were down there, right? I think it was National Geographic. They set up a little table down there at the courthouse. You go talk to them and do like a little interview, and then they picked 3 or 4 of the people that were right there at the auction.
That's cool,
And
man.
did that show, but
Okay, so you're down at the auction, you're doing the bidding service. So obviously you flipped, you're doing the bids, the game inside and out. So how's this all transition into hard money lending?
yeah, so along the way, when you're down there at the trustee auction buying these homes, all these other strategies that I didn't know anything about, like they come up.
Yeah,
You're buying these properties, and there's opportunities there for whether it's a subject to or seller finance or your wholesaling deals, and private money was one of them. So I'd have all these people that wanted to bid on the homes that I was offering the bid service, and then they're going out to these other hard money lenders and getting the loans. Well, I had built up some money. And so on some of these deals that I'd wholesale, I'd just keep the note. I'd keep the money in the deal. So essentially I was the private money lender. And back then you could get 18%.
Yeah.
And they were putting at least 20% down. So very low risk. You know, I'd make my wholesale assignment the same day I bought the home at the auction. And then I'd make 18% on my money for the next 3 to 5 months. And I'm like, well, that was the easiest money I've ever made. Yeah.
Wow.
But it took me 10 years to realize this is really what I should focus on. So it was 10 years that flipping homes was my full-time income. That was my main focus, with doing some wholesaling and some private money lending on the side. Boomerang Capital is one of the lenders I used when I was flipping. And then 2018, I decided I should really focus on this private money side. I think I know a lot of the people in the industry, so I'd have a lot of contacts that I could go to. And then I understand how it all works. I'd be coming at it differently than other hard money lenders. Because what I realized was a lot of these hard money lenders are banking backgrounds or commercial banking, mortgage backgrounds. My background was flipping homes.
And that's one of the things that I was going to say is a great way for people to understand your background is you're not just a banker, but you've been in those shoes. You analyze the deals as a flipper would analyze a deal. So you can always, if someone is coming to you saying, I want a loan, you know exactly what to look for. And you can tell them, hey, this won't work because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, no, that's what you guys are known for. Actually, my wife has a fix and flip client. She uses you guys all the time, and she's always running the deal by you. You know, and you guys are saying no, yes, no. Like that's a great indicator if you're new to real estate investing. If your hard money lender doesn't want to lend on it, you want to ask why.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I look at the deal as if I was flipping it myself.
Yeah.
I want all of my borrowers to make money on the deal, because when they do, I get repeat business and I get referrals, and that's my lifeblood. Right. And so when someone sends me a deal, I want to make sure that there's enough room in there for me to get paid, for the contractor to get paid, for the real estate agent to get paid, and then of course for the investor to get paid. Because unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize that the investor is the last person to get paid on a flip. Everyone else will make their money, and if whatever's left over, that's the investors.
Trust me, we know.
Yeah.
So just in short, what is hard money lending? Let's start there.
Hard money is an asset-based loan. The hard part of the hard money lending, that the word is because it's a hard asset. So normally a hard money lender would not pull credit because that'd be a credit-based loan. Hard money loan is a loan based on that asset alone.
Okay.
And so like for us at Boomerang, we've never pulled anyone's credit. We don't order appraisals. We do our own in-house valuations. And so we can close in literally one day when we need to. We like 3 days notice, but if you got a deal that's got to close tomorrow where your lender dropped out, a good hard money lender can step in there and take care of that.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're good because some of those I've dealt in my own personal transactions. For those quick closings, sometimes you're always in that situation. We're waiting on the docs. Title's always waiting on the docs from the hard money. Like,
Right.
oh, they're on vacation.
Yep.
Whatever
yeah.
it is. No, not boomerang, man. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys can do that.
We do our best. Yeah.
So as a newer investor coming to do, let's say, my first flip or my fifth flip,
Sure.
what should I present to you as a lender to quote unquote almost get this thing guaranteed funded?
Yeah. All I need is a property address and a purchase price.
Okay.
Yeah. You can share your ARV with me and your rehab budget. But if you just start me off with a property address and a purchase price, that gives me a good base of let me look at this property without any outside influences. And let me say, all right, I've seen the pictures online. I think the rehab's this. I think the ARV's this. Where are you at on it? And then if we're both on the same page, then, hey, we know the people who matter the most about this property is the people who have the money in the deal. And that's the investor and the hard money lender. That's why I hate appraisals.
Got it.
And they shouldn't have any part of hard money lending because it's an outside person that's getting paid whether they do a good job or
Why
not.
not? Yeah.
Because you take 10 appraisers, give them the same house, they'll come up with 10 different values, and none of those will be the value that you sell the house for. Right. And if you sell the house for less than what that appraises for, does that appraiser lose any money on the deal? No, he still made his $500 or $700. He still took us 2 weeks to do that
do it,
for you,
right.
right? And it's like there was no real value here. Like, why did you just charge me this money and take 2 weeks? You know,
Yeah.
if you have a hard money lender that knows what they're doing, that can evaluate a deal in 10 minutes or less, then that's a value add to your team.
Okay. So what are the structures? So, yes, you like the deal.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your structure look like? Down payments, interest rates, what's going on in today's world?
Yeah. So hard money, we're at about 11% right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's with 1 point. If you don't want any points, we can do like a 12% loan. With
Tell
no
us
points.
what a point is. Let's keep it basic.
Okay. 1 point is 1% of the loan amount.
Okay.
$100,000 loan, 1 point on a $100,000 loan is $1,000.
Gotcha.
$200,000 loan, it's $2,000.
Got it. And if it's $100,000 acquisition price for them and their homeowner, whoever they're buying from, you'd lend, they had a 20% down.
So 15% down.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So if it's over 200,000, we'll go to 10%.
Okay.
So if you want that better down payment, right? So for us, we look at what default loans come in. If they're buying a flip between 200 and 700,000, that is the best loan for us. Very, very few defaults.
Okay.
So because of that, we're going to be higher leverage.
Okay. So why at that price point there's a lower default rate than the lower price points?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a lot of variables that go into it. I think the lower price points, it might just have to be a lot of the newer investors like the lower price point because it's an easier barrier of entry. Lower price point, higher rehab. That's a big red flag for us. If you're buying a house for 120,000 and needs 80,000 rehab, a lot can go wrong there.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what we've seen from doing as many loans as we have. Fix and flip, single family house between 200,000 and 700,000. That's the best type of hard money loan for us.
Cool.
Okay.
And we will do the most leverage and that's the easiest loan for us to do.
So what do you look at as far as differences when it comes to the investor per se? We know the asset, we know the property, but Mike has been flipping for 10 years. He's done, let's just say 100 deals with you guys. I just started and I'm on my second flip.
Right.
What's the caveat? How would you look at me as an investor versus Mike?
Yeah.
And this is just for our newer investors.
Sure. So I'm asking basic questions so we don't pull credit. We don't really underwrite the borrower. What I do is I talk to them before we do the loan. It's a 5 to 10 minute conversation. And I'm asking them, tell me about the rehab. It's certain questions that are very specific, but I'm looking for certain answers.
Gotcha.
So I say, tell me about the rehab. We're going to do 50,000. I have my cousin coming in or my brother-in-law is out of work, but he knows some construction stuff. I'm like, okay, red flag. Is the contractor that you're using, is he experienced with flip homes? Have you used them before? Have you seen their work before? How organized are they? Not only do you have a loan quote from them, a rehab quote, but do you have a rehab timeline from your contractor?
Okay.
Now those will change, right? Day one, something's going to come up and change, but if we have something set from the beginning, then we can modify along the way. 100 times better than if you don't have anything, because change orders are deal killers.
Yep.
So with that rehab quote, you want everything listed out. broken down as much as possible. You want the timeline. You want to be on the same page before it starts. That's one of the questions. I want to see who they're working with and have they worked with them before. The other one is maybe I'll say, oh, I'm not seeing the value in this home. You're buying it for $200,000, putting 50 into it. You think the ARV is 400,000. I think it's 350. How did you get that 400,000? And they go, oh, I looked at Zillow. Oh, I was on Redfin. Oh, I have a realtor that gave me that number.
Gotcha.
So all that's telling me, okay, if you looked at Zillow and Redfin, they don't have access to the MLS. They don't have the real data. Okay. So red flag there, but it's not a deal killer. Right. So I say, all right, your realtor, do they have experience in selling flip homes? And your realtor is going to get paid whether you make money or not. Yep. So what's their motivation here? Let me see your realtor CMA. I love that one. Because they're like, oh yeah, they send me the realtor CMA. The CMA has 3 comps at 350, 320, and 300,000. I'm like, where did they get 400,000 for?
400,000, yeah.
They didn't even look at their realtor CMA.
Right.
And sometimes just because a realtor comped it.
Yeah.
Who's a realtor, right?
Right.
So
that's right. So I'm saying, how organized are they? Once we close that loan on Friday, will the contractor start that same Friday? Or are they going to be out 2 weeks? Okay. And then where are they getting their comps from? How much do they understand this future value?
Okay.
All along, I'm going on how can is this person good at problem solving? Because problems come up all along on this flip. And when the sewer breaks and they didn't plan on a $10,000 putting a new sewer in, are they going to have the money to do that? Are they going to have the ability to go and get a new quote? Are they going to have the ability to fire their contractor if the contractor is not working well? All these problems that can come up with a flip that we've seen why flips fail, can they handle those? That's the underwriting that I'm doing with this borrower.
Right. It's excellent.
So I have a question. So going maybe towards the more experienced, you just went to 15% down. Sometimes, so if it's $100,000 per acquisition, 15% of that, we got to come out of pocket. And remember, so everyone listening, and you have to have the budget for your repairs. So my thing is sometimes, see, Marcus and I are deal finders, and we can find really good deals. So when I've been in deals where it's like, yo, my purchase price is low. Like, it's not 65%. It's like 50. It's like super low.
Right.
So some hard money lenders are like, yo, can I get like 5% down? Like, I got a big, hefty margin here. So do you guys ever budge on the 15% with an experienced investor or a long-term relationship?
So there's ways to get that down payment down lower. It's not through the deal itself, though. It's through collateral and something else.
Okay.
So we always want some sort of collateral or skin in the game.
Got it.
So the easiest way of collateral is if they have a free and clear property. If they own a townhouse or condo that's free and clear.
Okay.
I can throw a lien on that, and then I can fund all your other deals at 100%. Because I know if in the event of default, I have something to fall back on. Yeah.
Okay.
But even though the default percentage margins you have are even bigger, potentially, right? That's just up because we bought it much deeper.
Sure.
You guys just don't even look at that. It's like, hey, here's acquisition, 15%. Got it. Okay.
I'll give you my best terms, but it's going to be 15 or 10% down.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I like that, getting creative. So free and clear property.
Yeah.
All right. Would you do do you guys lend on renovations?
We do, yeah.
You do that?
Purchase and renovations, absolutely.
Okay. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So is that together at 20% or 15% down?
Yeah.
I think I heard 10% down. So.
Yeah. So let's just stick with 10%, 15%. 10% is for those.
That 10%.
Right. 10% is for purchase only, and they cover rehab themselves.
Got it.
I can include rehab in the loan, but then it's just 15% down at any price.
Okay.
Yeah. But then it's 100% of rehab on the back end by draws.
Okay.
And our draw process, every draw process for every lender is different. Most of the time you have to order an inspection, and it's $150, $200. So essentially you have to pay to get money you've already been approved for. And then you have to argue with an inspector that comes out. We don't do any inspections. We don't do any draw fees.
Okay.
We say, take pictures of the house as it gets completed, and then just email it to me, and then I'll send you that money.
Oh, nice.
We want to trust our borrowers. So I say, I will trust you until you give me a reason not to.
Gotcha.
So if you send in a draw request and you're taking pictures of a different house, well, then your draws stop.
Right.
And if there's anything that has to do with fraud, right, then draws stop. But we want to be a value add to the project. We do not want to be an obstacle they have to overcome to flip that house.
Okay.
If you ever wanted to start fix and flipping properties, this is your chance. We have some exciting events coming up here at AZREIA. We call it Fix and Flip February. But most importantly, I want to let you know about February 10th. We have the Women Flip Better Expert Panel. You're not going to want to miss that. Then February 15th and 16th, we have our 3rd annual Fix and Flip Boot Camp and Bus Tour. You're going to get hands-on training. We're going to walk through 3 live properties. You're going to be with our resident experts showing you how they fix and flip properties in today's market. So go to azreia.org/calendar and get the full details on all our fix and flip events this month. I'll see you there.
So a person can come in with a great margin on the property with 15% down and get the acquisition and the rehab costs done.
Correct.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's huge. All right. So what else we got here? So, man, I had a question for you. Did you keep any of those houses back in the day?
Oh yeah, I got a few.
All right, good for you, man. Good for you. All right, that's it. Every time someone brings it, sorry, I'm jumping around, but 08 or whatever, I'm always like, yeah, did you keep?
Yeah,
good for you.
They're
Awesome.
they're called rentals by accident.
Yeah,
and they're the best type of rentals. It's when you buy a house to flip it, it doesn't work out, and you're like, I should just refinance this and keep it as a rental. And then a few years later, you're like, I should have done with this with every single property. Hindsight's 2020, and
of course.
Yeah, and then at the time, you need the cash. Flip generates cash. Rentals generate the long-term wealth, but you need that money.
And that's one of the things that people, like Mike say, when you look back and you say, man, I wish I would have kept all of those houses. But you got to put yourself in that position that you was in at that time. Right. And a lot of times at that time, you needed the cash in order for you to try and get more deals. So.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like any, I think you guys gave us one a while back when we started the podcast, like any calculators or any tools that you could share with our members, or if they call you or we could share with them to help run their numbers?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a rehab estimator, a spreadsheet. I've got a deal analysis spreadsheet. I've got a rehab timeline spreadsheet, which is really good. Where you're listing every single thing that has to do with that property, from buying it, putting the dumpster in there, all the way down to giving the keys to the realtor.
Love it.
And then everything has a date on there. That's a good one.
I
also keep an active list of all the wholesalers in Phoenix.
Oh, wow.
So if you're a new investor, you're like, where do I find deals? I'm like, for your first deal, don't try to do a big value add. Don't try to buy a historic home. You just want to put some lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
Go out and find a wholesale deal where you're just making 10 to 15,000.
Right.
You want to go through that whole process from start to finish and then see how everything falls, make a little bit of money at the end. But then after it, you will be a real estate investor by experience instead of a real estate investor by theory.
So I like that. So you have a list of all the wholesalers. Obviously, that list probably grows and shrinks all
the time.
So with that list, how is that working out? What are you seeing wholesale wise? Like, are these deals moving? Are they sitting there? Are there price reductions? What's the wholesale market look like for you?
I see it pretty strong right now.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen, people are still buying. I've seen a slowdown in the market itself. I have some concerns there. Homes are sitting a little bit longer, which is, there's no inventory, but there's no buyers. We have this weird stagnant market right now.
It is.
And I think, will it continue? I don't know. Prices, I don't know if prices don't seem to be dropping. They're staying steady.
Yeah.
So I have some concerns there, but wholesaling's still good.
I had a good conversation with Ron, one of our members, and what you said, like everything's kind of stale.
Yeah.
So we were talking about, and he was saying how the agenda there, when it comes to like loan officers and agents, it's like prices are going to drop. Just buy now and refi. Prices are going to drop.
Right.
Prices are going to drop. Elections coming. Prices are going to drop. But he's like, let's just twist that, flip it upside down. We don't know. Prices are going up. Interest rates are going up. He's like, then people are going to be like, whoa, I better buy now before they're. So I think there's some psychology in the advertising out there.
It's interesting. I try to break it down to its most simplest form. I say, when someone's buying a house, are they thinking, will my house be worth more in 6 months or less than 6 months? If they think it's going to be worth more than 6 months, then they're going to buy now. If they think it's going to be less than 6 months, then they're saying, I'm going to wait 6 months. So what market are we in? Are buyers saying it's going to be more or less? And
saying less.
Yeah, they're saying less, or they're just saying it's the same, but maybe I could get a better interest rate next year. And so I think there's still people sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah, it's very important to talk to your hard money lenders and I think title companies. Like, you're on the pulse. Is it finger or thumb? One of those.
Yeah.
You're on the pulse.
Yeah.
And yeah, because the end user for a fix and flipper is end home buyer, right? So they're qualified. They're going out there. They're looking at the rates, all that stuff. So if the home buyers are slowing down, your fix and flippers are slowing down, which in your wholesalers, you're going to see less transactions.
It's true. Yeah. So we used to have 2 end buyers for all of our flips, for all of our borrowers.
Okay.
And one end buyer was the family moving into the house to buy it at full market value. Our other end buyer was a DSCR loan. So these people would buy these flips and they're like, I'd just rather get the DSCR loan at 3-4%. It'll cash flow. I don't have to bring any more money down because they're using the equity that was built. But DSCR loans are getting tougher to get, and then they're at 8% now, and you're like,
hard to cash flow.
Yep.
you can't cash flow. That means you're bringing money down at closing, and investors hate to leave money in the deal, so it's really hurting that strategy.
The whole burr thing is probably sinking.
It's tough.
So I guess those books are getting some dust on them.
Flew away.
Those burr books are getting
But you want as many exit strategies as you can when you buy a house. Flip being the number one, but if you've got 4 or 5 others you can fall back on, and these higher interest rates, it's kind of taken away a few of those other strategies.
All right. So what strategy are you seeing right now?
Flips.
Just flips.
Yeah,
Straight flips.
Yeah, they're keeping it
good.
as a rental, then they know they're going to have some money stuck in the deal.
Okay.
And long-term hold. Nothing wrong with holding it. It always healed real estate, right?
Yeah.
Hold it,
And there's other markets where it's great. We do a lot of loans in Texas.
Okay.
And San Antonio and Houston. Texas has higher property taxes.
Right.
But in San Antonio, you could still get a really nice house for $200,000 that'll rent for $2,000 a month
Wow.
in a nice like B-class neighborhood. And you can't get that in Phoenix right now. You're buying $500,000 house in Gilbert that'll rent for $2,500 a month.
Yeah,
There's no cash flow.
Yeah, you're at $500,000 for a starter home, like
Right.
first time home buyers. It's crazy.
But there's opportunities in cities that are still appreciating. Yeah.
So right now, being a hard money lender, what are you starting to see? Are you seeing more newer investors coming in saying, hey, I'm just going to try this? Or are you seeing more of the experienced investors sticking with it?
We've got our experienced investors back. So they went away. I'd say April of 2022, a lot of the experienced investors, they sat on the sidelines. And then so that the rest of 2022 is all about acquiring new investors, new borrowers. And that's really been our focus. But I'd say about February, March of this year, I started to get those calls from my older clients that had done a bunch of flips. Okay, we're getting back into it. And now I'd say I'm probably about 60% return borrowers, 40% new borrowers.
So why do you think those older, more experienced buyers got back into the market?
Because they realize that people are finally okay with the 6 and 7% interest rates.
Got it.
Yeah, it's been in long enough where people understand we're not going to see the 4s again.
It's been stable.
6 and 7 is the norm. Whenever you want to buy a house, you're going to get a 6 or 7% interest rate, and that it is what it is.
Right.
And so I think that the investors have started to see that buyers are okay with that.
And I think that's something we've talked about here. And I don't know if you remember Alan Langston for years. I know we've always been on like a seller's markets gradually, but there's times where it just kind of been, it wasn't boom like COVID. It didn't just shoot up 10% a month or whatever the heck it was.
Yeah.
But we kind of, like you said, an old investors see the stability that we want a predictable business. Obviously, you can't predict our market, but if you could see some stability and it's just kind of like just cruising, even if it stays like this at 6 or 7, I think we'll have a good time flipping.
Right.
So I'm kind of open for that.
If you do it right.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that got involved flipping when we had that really good appreciation, a lot of their errors were cover up. They can make a lot of mistakes and still make money.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we can't see that anymore. Yeah, if you buy a house and you walk in, it's got just a crappy floor plan. It's got low ceilings. 2 years ago, you could flip that house, still make money. That house is going to sit on the market. It's going to be one of the 20% that gets canceled. We have a lot of listings that are being terminated and canceling on the MLS. We haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
And so you're like, all right, what are those homes that are doing it? Well, it's the homes that have the bad floor plans, the homes that back up to power lines, to busy streets. It's all these things that we avoided for so many years that we knew very few buyers are going to buy this home. This is going to be long days on market. And that was covered up there.
Let's just say we, not us, not all three.
Right.
We always stuck to the fundamentals, man. That's like one thing. Yeah, we've caught once those interest rates switched up. Like we had a property, we won't go into it, but we had a huge margin. It was a property going into foreclosure, but we bought it so well. Although like the interest rates doubled, what ate us up was our hold time. You know what I mean? It just extended more than we still made it out alive, but like not as good. But because we bought it right, we just stuck to the tried and true notes.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, that difference between a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom and a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom is huge right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you don't want to buy anything that's 1 bathroom if everybody around you has 2 bathrooms.
2 baths. Yeah.
Would you go for, I know we talked about lipstick for a beginner. Would you go with the 3-1 and add a bathroom these days?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah,
The value adds still play. I like the buying the 3-2 and making it a 4-3 or a 2-1 and making it a 3-2. Absolutely, if it's in the right neighborhood.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, tell, what time is it? Where are we at? So, we got plenty of time. So, tell us a story, man. Tell us a hard money story, man. Maybe
story.
something ugly or
Give us the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, so someone could just see the full process of a deal and the ups and downs and ins and outs,
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you about some things we see that we haven't liked.
Okay.
That maybe someone can learn from. If you can learn from someone else's mistakes, then you don't have to make them yourself.
Of course.
Right?
Let's do it.
So I'll call her Karen. She called me up a few years ago, retired school bus driver.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone's got to start somewhere.
Yep.
She's like, I want to get into flipping homes. I've got some money saved up. I'm a retired school bus driver. I said, great. So she sends me this deal. It's in the Cherry. Is it the Cherry? Oh, I forget. It's in a historic district in Phoenix.
Okay.
It's in a neighborhood where part of the neighborhood's historic, part of it isn't. Part of the homes were built in the 1920s. Some of it were built in the 1950s.
Okay.
Because of that, you had a wide range of comps. You had comps from $300,000 to $1 million.
Okay.
I think it's Cherry Hill District.
Cherry Hill.
Cherry Hill District. Okay. So the one that she's buying is built in the 50s, not historic. 4 houses down, sold for like $720,000, less square feet, but it's a historic home built in the 20s with tons of character. She's looking at her house. She's buying it for $280,000. She's saying there's a huge margin in here. And I said, there's a margin in there, but your curb appeal stinks. Like I went out. So for this one, I had some concerns about the property and I wanted to meet her. So I said, let's go meet at the property before we buy it, before I lend on it. We walked the deal, pulling up to the property. It had a garage that had been converted to another room. So it's got no garage, 1950s house with just zero curb appeal. And I say, hey, there's money in this deal, right? We've got comps that 500,000 if you do it right. But what plans do you have to change this curb appeal? The inside, it's got a little hallway kitchen. Okay. All the rooms are separated. It's not open at all.
Yeah.
I said, what are you going to do to open up this kitchen? And she had some ideas. I didn't like them too much, but she said, I have a contractor that's done a lot of flips. I've got a budget of $80,000. He's going to do all the design. He's going to do all the work. I said, great. Let's meet him.
Right.
Call him up. Another day, we go back to the property and meet him. I like the contractor.
Cool.
He knows what he's doing. He's got specific ideas for the kitchen, for the curb appeal, for the bathrooms. I said, great, let's do it. She closes the house. I fund it. About 2 weeks go by. I haven't heard from her. No rehab draw request yet. That's fine. Maybe she's using her own money up front. Love that. Okay. I call her up. I say, hey, Karen, how you doing? How's the rehab going? She's like, oh, I'm at the property right now and I'm painting. And I go, you're painting?
You're painting?
What are you doing?
Right.
And I'm like, do you have any experience painting? She's like, it's just painting. And she's like, I decided the $80,000 was too much to put into this house. So I'm going to do the work myself and save some money.
Oh, jeez.
And I go,
Worst line.
have you ever tiled any floor? Have you ever done any bathrooms? She's like, well, I watched a YouTube video on how to tile. I'm like, you gotta be joking.
You're right. You're thinking like, man, my money is tied in this.
But I'm like, hey, at this point, her name's on the title. I'm only the lender. I'm just there to help and add value.
Yep.
She doesn't have to listen to my advice.
Yep.
So I'm like, you never know. It's on her now. It's her house.
Yeah.
And so I don't hear from her from another couple weeks. I call her up. I say, hey, let's go down and meet at the property. I get down there. The house, the interior is half painted. That's the only work that's been done in this property.
Wow.
And I could see exactly what happened. She started painting in the back in one of the bedrooms. She got about halfway through. She looked at her work and said, this has made zero difference. She didn't do any drywall repairs before. She didn't patch any of the holes. She didn't redo any texture. She chose like an off blue color.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Yeah.
it didn't look good at all. And she got halfway done with her painting. She said, I'm in over my head. This is not good. And she just stopped.
Wow.
So she put the house on the market as is. She lost about $20,000 and walked away from it. I said, there's a huge difference between a contractor's work and a homeowner's work.
Yep.
Not only that, there's a huge difference between a contractor's work and the homeowner's brother-in-law who's out of work that has a little construction experience, or, oh, I'm going to do a friend a favor.
Right. Trying to help somebody out.
Help somebody out, or, oh, I've got the time. I'm going to put my tool belt on and do this work myself. I'm like, if you don't have any experience doing these, it's not going to turn out good.
What do you think about, so there's a lot of stuff there. So we're big on coaching, mentoring, education, right?
Yeah.
I know that saved my life. Like I just listen to other people. So what do you think about that? Do you suggest people maybe buy a course or some type of like, even if it's $50, you know what I mean? Or versus a few thousand, whatever it is, like some type of process to follow. I think so many people get in the business. Yeah. And just do what you just said.
Yeah. You need somebody to follow. A mentor is great.
Yeah.
If you can find it for free, great, but that's hard to find. If you pay a few bucks, few $1,000 or whatever it is, that's great.
Think about it. Yeah. If you paid $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for a course, that lady just lost 20.
Right. You need someone to help you along the way, especially with your first one. And some people have that entrepreneur mindset. And they can jump on YouTube and they can listen to other people talk. They can come out to Azria and listen and they can, all right, I can take what I just learned from a few meetings and go try to flip a house. And maybe I'll break even or you lose a few thousand, but that experience, that's what they need. Other people need that mentor. Yeah. They need someone to say, hey, I found this great deal, but I know I'm going to make mistakes if I try to flip it. Who would like to partner up with me? If you find a great deal, everyone is going to want to partner up with you. Yeah. And then you get someone that knows how to deal with the problems when they arise. They know not to go with the crazy rehab, not to build a water, do some crazy backyard landscaping, right? Don't paint a mural in the front room. Yeah. Just keep it simple. You know, do the white shaker style cabinets in the kitchen, granite. You do the luxury vinyl plank flooring. You choose a beige or a gray, neutral color. Yeah, don't do the blueberry or the auburn
right there.
Colors.
Like you guys have always been helpful. You got like so with the Excel sheets and everything you provide. Like just some, I think there's some pride or ego there too. She just had it sounds like she just called you. Yeah, and be like, hey, whatever. I don't know, and maybe get some resources or
Well, I don't understand it because she had the money.
She had the money.
It's not like she didn't have the money. She had the money to do the work. But one of the big red flags that I always see is contractors underbidding, highly underbidding the property, and then the scope of work, and then a newer investor saying, okay, well, this is the cheapest I can get, and they end up going with that contractor, and you get what you pay for, right? You know, so if most contractors bid is $60,000 and you got somebody say, oh, I can get everything done for 20, that's a big red flag.
Right. So here's some other questions to ask a contractor. If you never used any of these contractors before, you're brand new, you don't have any relationships yet. You get 3 bids and they're all over the place, right? High, middle, low. Say, how much money do you want up front? Yeah. Oh, I want 50. He's the cheapest guy and he wants 50% up front. He's not showing up.
Right.
Yeah. He's going to do crappy work. And he's like, well, if you want to change that, it's
going to add a cost.
Yeah. Because this is what you paid for. Yeah, and so how much money do you want up front? Can we set up a schedule where you get paid based on the work that's completed? I'll give you some money up front, or I'll go buy what I really like is you don't need any money up front, but I'll buy your materials up front. Because that's what a lot of contractors say. I need some money to get started with the labor materials. You go, well, what if I front all these materials first?
Hey, I'll meet you. Let's go and get the material.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you get a job, they don't pay you
up front, right?
You wait 2 weeks to get that paycheck,
right? But that said, the good contractors won't start without any money because they've gotten screwed too, just like investors have gotten screwed.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you find a good contractor that just having that conversation and seeing how they deal with it, oh, is this a conversation they've had before with other investors and they know how to handle it? That's really what you're looking for, because you want the guy that's going to work with you not only in the beginning but all along the way. And so if something goes way over budget, you're like, all right, we can't do this $20,000 change order, but what can we do for this amount that'll look good and add value to the house?
Right. And that's the importance of working with Boomerang Capital, because you've been in that seat like we talked about. So one of the things that, what did you call her name?
Karen.
Yeah. One of the things Karen could have did was just come to you and say, hey, Andrew, you know what? I don't think I want to spend the $80,000. I don't want to use this $80,000 budget. What do you think I should do? What's the avenue I should take? And you may say, hey, okay, don't do the $80,000. Let's see what we can get done for half the budget or 3/4 of the budget. Here's a good contractor you can use. I vouch for him because you've been in that position before. And now she has the confidence that she needs to get it done. Plus she save, money in the process versus trying to get out there and do it yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. So as we wind down, all our business associates usually have like a special offer for AZREIA members. So if an AZREIA member calls you and want to work with you, is there any benefits or anything or discounts or anything?
Yeah. So we'll do a $950 flat fee for loan origination.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's 12% interest, but
Yeah.
you can get your cost down up front.
Save some money there.
And then
Love it.
absolutely,
Thank
if
you.
anyone calls from AZREIA, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I'm a value to that project and not an obstacle they have to overcome.
Cool, man.
Yeah. I want to
Awesome.
be a partner on their team, not someone on the outside trying to hold up the deal.
Love it. Appreciate that.
And you lend throughout Arizona.
Arizona, yeah. There's a few. I mean, I'm not gonna go to Ajo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll Prescott, Flagstaff, Payson, Tucson, Casa Grande. We love all those areas, and of course everything in Maricopa County.
Cool.
Perfect.
How do we get hold of you?
Andrew at boomerangcapital.com.
Mm-hmm.
My Instagram handle is bestflippinlender.
Cool.
Or I'm sure we'll post some numbers up there with
Yeah.
my cell phone and stuff. But
Yeah, we'll put everything down in the description.
Yeah.
If you want to meet Andrew in person, come to the monthly meeting. You're usually there, right? Or
I'm
someone on your
there,
team.
yeah.
Yeah, you're there.
I try to be there every one. Yeah.
Yep, come to monthly meeting, second Monday of the month, venue 8600. Meet Andrew, give him a call, hit him up on social media, borrow some money, pay him back, borrow
Yeah.
some more.
Let's do some deals.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So Andrew is offering you guys the free rehab calculator, the $950 loan origination, flat fee, active list of all wholesalers. So he got much more to give to you. So reach out to Andrew, reach out to Boomerang Capital, and let's get you fixing and flipping.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Awesome,
appreciate
man.
it, guys.
Thanks for being here.
All right. Thank you, guys. Another wonderful, successful show, AZREIA Show. You all know what to do. Every Monday at 8 a.m., the show goes live, 8 a.m. on all podcast platforms and also on YouTube. Thank you so much for being loyal listeners. And then let me and Mike know how we're doing. Give us a review. Let us know if we suck. Okay, give us a 1 star. But hopefully we get that 5-star review.
Yes.
And one thing I do want to say, if there's 1-star reviews, I'll blame it on Mike.
I don't even know what to say.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being loyal listeners. Until next time, enjoy your day.
Cool. Awesome.
Thanks for listening to the AZREIA Show with your hosts, Marcus Maloney and Mike Delpreet. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you found this information valuable, head over to azria.org and learn more about our community.